This is only confirmation to me that these people should not be in relationships. Today, we are looking at Break My Fall by Chloe Walsh, which is the first book of the Break My Fall series by her. And I'll be honest, this book only confirms to me the importance of communication when it comes to relationships, because I swear, it's like a thing. I actually think that Chloe just likes to write those kinds of relationships where communication is lacking, because so far I've read a couple of her books and that seems to be a theme, is where nobody's communicating and it's hurting people's feelings. So first, let's talk about Lee, which is our main character of the story. And I'm gonna be honest, I loved the trauma. I like trauma, okay? I love a good trauma novel, love a good trauma romance, love that for her. And I actually think it adds a really fascinating edge to a romance novel. And I think it, to the relationship itself, especially when it's the girl with the trauma. It seems like 99% of romance novel men are the ones who are traumatized in some fashion, right? I mean, we've all read the books, countless books, where it's the girl is just innocent and happy and has a loving family and everything has always been good for her. And, the male is I hate my life and I was abused and I was, all these things. But I really liked that in this story, it was Lee who had, the baggage, right? She was the one that was I've got this really rocky past. I have a lot of pain. I have a lot of trauma that I'm trying to overcome. Not that Kyle doesn't have stuff too, because he does, but Lee is the one that it's oh no, this is bad trauma. Now, speaking of Lee's trauma, I have a really hard time understanding why, of all people, Lee trusts Kyle, okay? Why do you trust Kyle? Throughout the book, Lee would be super skittish around people and super skittish around certain people, and she would respond and sort of shy away and right? Because she lived a very abusive childhood. She has always been abused. But then when it comes to Kyle, she's perfectly comfortable and making out with him and oh my word, super attracted to him, and even when he's doing things that should trigger her. And that, I would have to say, is the thing that bothered me the most, is that it was she let him cross lines that a traumatized person never would, right? If there's rapport in the relationship outside of the trauma, right? Lee's relationship with Cam. Cam has rapport with Lee and Lee trusts Cam. Kyle is just this random dude and she's oh yeah, I totally trust you and I'm gonna do all these crazy things with you and trauma schmama, right? That's what it feels like. It's almost I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It's almost like the trauma she endured and the lines that she should have been letting Kyle cross, it's they were flip-flopped, So she grew up in this very physically abusive situation, right? Her father beat her. Her father was physically abusive to her, which tells me that she would want to avoid physical touch, right? That tells me that, oh, I don't want to be touched. I don't like being touched. I don't like being touched by men, right? There's that. Her father was an alcoholic, which I've been around people who had, family background of alcoholism, and they do not want to be around alcohol, right? They do not want anything to do with alcohol. Whenever somebody has not whenever, typically when somebody has a person in their life who suffers with alcoholism, they're I don't want anything to do with that. Not only do I not want to have anything to do with that, but I don't want to be around people who are like that. Okay, she was sexually assaulted and then brainwashed to think that intimacy was evil, which would make me think that, okay, at the mere thought of an intimate touch or an intimate relationship, she should think this is bad, and she does, but she shouldn't just think it's bad. It should be really difficult for her to get to a place where she would allow herself to be in a relationship like that, or that she would allow somebody to do things to her that she allowed Kyle to do to her, okay? Nope, that's not all of these things. Not even a problem. She shows up first day, her roommate's having a party, and she's great. So she takes a bunch of shots, gets drunk, and then she makes out with Kyle, and it's a super steamy situation. all these things that she should technically not be willing to do as an abused, as a traumatized person, she's completely willing to do, which tells me, okay, like maybe Lee doesn't think that her abuse was that bad, right? Like maybe it didn't impact her the way that we're being led to believe that it impacted her. But then she won't frickin' talk about it, okay? So listen, when something is traumatizing, right, then, like, I completely understand that a lot of times in those situations, like, the person who's traumatized doesn't want to talk about it, okay? But it's a double-edged sword there, because they don't want to talk about it, and they also don't want, right, with Lee's situation, I understand that she wouldn't want to be wouldn't want to talk about it, excuse me, but at the same time, she also should not be physically willing to do all these certain things. So I totally get that she doesn't want to talk about it. But she should have been cagey in all areas, okay? She should have been very hesitant in all areas. I don't care how hot Kyle must have been. Like, no, like, you should be hesitant in all areas, because in all areas, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, she has been abused, okay? And so, honestly, like, all of the things that she is willing to do with Kyle, I'm like, what? I would expect a lot more hesitation, right? I would expect a lot more hesitation, and I would expect a lot more downright fear of Kyle, which it's like she sort of talks about that, like, oh man, like, he's just so terrifying. But then, like, I would expect her, of all people, to not be so easily seduced and, you know, enchanted by boyish charms, right? Because that's what it is. That's what it is where it's like, oh, sure, I'm this super skittish, like, super abused person, but then there's this guy, and, like, he just enchants me, and, you know, like, he seduces her, basically. But, it, like, of all people, she's the last person that I would expect to be seduced, right? She's the last person I would expect to be seduced. I would have expected her to be somewhat immune to his, you know, wiles and his, you know, his approach to a relationship. I would have expected her to be, like, downright immune to it, right? And not only immune, but, like, run away because she's terrified, right? She's terrified. No, it's like she picks and chooses what it is that she's gonna be afraid of, right? It's like she's totally down and she's like, oh yeah, right? Like, okay, so she walks into a room and she's like, oh, I'm super, like, no, like, cagey and shy and skittish and all these kinds of things. And then she, like, has this bold, brazen moment, and then she runs away in fear and tears, and it's like, what is happening, right? What is happening? And then she wouldn't say anything about it. Over and over and over again, right? Like, she wouldn't say anything about it. And, like, I'm sorry, if you are responding this way to a relationship or intimacy, you should probably be talking about this, right? You should probably be, like, communicating this to Kyle, where it's like, yeah, like, I'm not willing to do these things, like, or these things are terrifying to me, or, right? Like, no, she's just keeping that a secret and then leading him on and then running away, leading him on, then running away. So you let him do things to you, but you won't tell him that your dad sucked, right? You let him do things to you that you technically should not be letting him do to you, right? You let him do things to you that you should technically be scared of him doing to you, but you won't tell him that your dad sucks, and then you're pissed off at him because he is who he is. Like, it just, I mean, all of these things, if she had just said, hey, I have this past, this is, right? Like, again, I understand not everybody likes to talk about that, but if you don't like to talk about it, then you probably shouldn't even be, like, considering the relationship that you're considering with Kyle. You know, I mean, like, it just didn't add up. Lee sort of, she felt very off kilter to me, just because it was like, all of these things you should not, like, you should be terrified of all the things you are doing with Kyle right now. You should be absolutely terrified. And I mean, especially with Kyle, because let's be honest, Kyle is a massive prick hole. Like, he's terrible. He's horrible. Okay, there is not very many redeeming moments with Kyle for me, okay? You know, I get it. He's got a past too. He's got this ADHD thing going on, right? He's got this thing with Rachel, and, you know, he's apparently running all these businesses and going to school, right? Like, the dude's got stuff going on. I completely understand, obviously. But so much of what he has going on, once again, just like Lee, he's refusing to tell her all the things going on in his life, but all of the things going on in his life are completely, like benign compared to Lee's situation, right? Like, you could, like, Like everything. Oh yeah, like I have these businesses. My grandpa, I inherited these businesses. I'm doing this, right? Like all of the things that are going on in his life, he keeps secret. And they're dumb things, right? And so literally so many of his problems, like all of his problems, all of these problems that he refuses to tell Lee, like he should have been very open with Lee about, especially if he's, as obsessed and in love and infatuated with her as he apparently is. But no, he opts to continuously hurt her and to continuously let Rachel lead him on and lead him by a leash and run away from Lee and hurt her over and over. Like, if he is as obsessed and in love with Lee as he claims to be, then he should be more inclined to protect Lee and not hurt her, and less inclined to keep his secrets, right? I mean, that's the kind of guy I'd be going for. But no, he is just going to continue hurting her. He flat out tells her, I'm going to continue messing up, and I'm going to continue screwing all of this up, just so you know, and I'm going to hurt you. And she's like, oh, okay, break my fall. Don't break me, break my fall. Okay, yeah, right, Lee. That's gonna happen. This boy cannot figure himself out, okay? I'm sorry, red frickin' flag, right? So he keeps these secrets locked up like the crown frickin' jewels. But then, right, for the entire book, he keeps them all locked up inside, and he's like, I'm not telling anybody. Nobody knows my secrets, right? I'm so secretive, and I'm tight as a drum and everything. But then this one random night, he's having drinks with Linda, whoever Linda is, and he's like, oh yeah, this is what happened. These are my secrets, right? It doesn't add up. And not only is he spilling the beans about all these secrets and everything, but they're lame freaking secrets, right? Why are you hiding these secrets? Why are you hiding these secrets, right? Right? I mean, they're these lame secrets that it's everybody can tell that there's something going on. Everybody knows you're keeping secrets, okay? It's not just oh, I'm keeping secrets and nobody knows I'm keeping secrets. No, it's everybody knows that you're keeping secrets and you're a jerk because of them. And everybody knows it has to do with Rachel. And I mean, we can all assume what some sort of secret having to do with Rachel has to do with, right? I mean, everything. I mean, these are just the dumbest freaking secrets I've ever heard of in my life. And especially when you are claiming to Lee is just so wonderful and she's so important to me. I'm sorry, but if Lee is this important to you, then your lame freaking secrets, keeping your secrets should not be as important to you. If Lee is this important to you, then it should be a no-brainer to say, okay, this is what's going on with Rachel. You should have explained that before you even thought about getting in a relationship with somebody, right? And obviously he says, oh, I'm not one for relationships, but then he carries on and continues saying about how much Lee's different and right? He treats Lee different. But at the same time, the exact same, because he continues to hurt her, right? It's she's important to him, but he doesn't know how to have nice things, and he doesn't know how to treat nice things. And I'm sorry, but red flag, I would be out of there. If this boy just continues to hurt me, right? Come on. And it all comes down to communication between both of them. I get it. They both have these things that it's okay, these are significant, private matters, right? Abuse, all of this stuff that Kyle's got, however significant they are. And I understand that it's not yeah, so I'm just going to bare my soul to you on the first date, right? No, I understand that that's not how it works. But listen. Here's my thing. Don't get all pissy with Lee because she's not telling you all her secrets when you're not telling her yours, right? And Lee, don't get all weepy and angry when Kyle's not telling you his secrets when you're not telling him yours. I mean, it's exactly like what we saw with Treacherous by Chloe Walsh, where it's they would continue to jump to conclusions. They would continue, they don't communicate. One of them tries to communicate and the other one just ignores them and jumps to conclusions. And then there's this big blowout and there's all these fights that don't need to happen and are completely unnecessary and are taking away from the love story. They're continuously trusting people who have flat out, blatantly obvious vendettas against them. I mean, this is just like Ellie in Treacherous. Rachel is exactly like Ellie in Treacherous, where it's okay, Rachel has got a problem with you, Lee. So why is it that you are listening to her every time she says something to you? I'm sorry, when somebody is my enemy or when somebody has something against me, they're the last person I'm going to listen to. Honestly, they are the last person I'm going to listen to. But it's just like, oh, well, Rachel said it. Why would she lie? Well, I don't know. Why would she lie? Ding dong. I mean, honestly, you should be trusting the people that you have more rapport with, right? She doesn't have a ton of rapport with Kyle, but she's got more rapport with Kyle than she does with Rachel. Yikes, like not nice, right? She has way more rapport with Kyle than she has with Rachel. Yet she continues to listen to Rachel. She continues to just like, oh, well, she said it, right? I mean, honestly. But at the same time, neither of them are talking anyways because they just continue to get distracted by mauling each other and like making out and having these random hookups. And it's like, ugh. I mean, honestly, I don't see what either one of them is falling in love with. I mean, sure, there's that physical attraction. Physical attraction is definitely a thing, right? I mean, honestly, I get it. I'm 100% one of those people where it's like, looks matter, right? Everybody has their own flavor. Everybody has what they're attracted to. But like, right? I mean, they do. But that is not the basis of the relationship, right? The relationship is like, I like you, I trust you, and I want to be around you. I want to talk to you, okay? Like talking to you. They don't talk. They never talk. I'm sorry, but if I ever encounter a guy who's only interested in sucking face, I'm like, okay, yeah, like you are a dead-end individual. I'm not going to get anywhere with you because you don't want to talk. You don't want to listen to me talk, right? If there's two things that I do not like in a man, it is if they are the only ones ever talking, right? Like they dominate the conversation, and if they just ignore everything I say or they don't want to hear me talk or, right? Like, I'm not saying that I need to be the star of the show here, but heck, like, I would like to have a word, please, right? I would like to know you. I would like you to know me. Like, I would like to communicate and talk and, right? Like, I'd like to have a relationship, a conversation. I would like to know you. Let's put it this way. Cam knows way more about Kyle than Lee does. Derek, Cam's boyfriend, knows way more about Lee than Kyle does. I mean, that is just freaking twisted, okay? We have people here that it's like, oh yeah, like, I don't know a lot about Kyle. That's what Cam says all the time. I don't know a lot about Kyle. But she knows way more about Kyle than Lee does. That's curious. This girl that you apparently are falling in love with should probably know more about you than this random girl who's your roommate. Derek knows more about Lee, which that is twisted as, like, that's twisted because, okay, here's this random dude, my best friend's boyfriend, and he knows more about me than my boyfriend, if that's what you want to call Kyle. I mean, oh my goodness gracious. And then they're all like, oh yeah, we're best friends. I just want to be with my best friend. You're not best friends. I'm sorry. Best friends talk, okay? Like, have you ever encountered a best friend that it's like, all they want to do is suck face? Like, do you consider that a best friend? Do you consider a best friend somebody that it's like, oh yeah, I've known you for 2 months, and for about 7 of those 8 weeks, we have been arguing. Do you consider that a best friend? No, I do not consider that a best friend. I consider that an acquaintance, okay? Or somebody that I just avoid downright, right? No, we do, like, you are not best friends. You are not best friends. Also, best friends are people that you share secrets with. And that is the one thing that they are not doing. These two are both just bottlenecks of secrets, and they don't share anything. No, you do not get to claim the badge of best friendhood. Obviously, as you can tell, there are a lot of things in this story that I'm like, okay, really? Right? Like, really? But it is intriguing to me. And that is the thing. That's the thing with both this story and the treacherous story, which I'm actively, reading that series as well. That's the thing with Chloe, is where it's almost like, it's like she has these very interesting and very unique storylines and these very unique situations, but it's like they just lack the depth that I'm wanting out of them, right? Where it's almost like the relationship is very superficial, but the situation at hand has a lot of depth, and it has a lot of depth that is being ignored. And that's just like, it's almost, it feels like there's an itch not being scratched. Right? Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like there is just an itch with this story that is not being scratched because okay, the communication situation, or, the incongruencies and inconsistencies with Lee, the whole Kyle thing where it's like, okay, this is a really dumb scene, right? Like, all of these things, it's like, it just lacks that depth that I'm really looking for and that I'm really hungry for when it comes to these kinds of situations, right? I'm all for a very, like, okay, this is like just obviously I read trash. I'm all for the whatever storylines, but these storylines have a lot of depth. And so I'm really missing the beef and noodles of the story that I'm looking for. And so, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of depth in these stories that's just being replaced with lust and sensuality. And it's like, really, guys, really, it just feels like we could be going so much deeper, and this could be like a really beautiful relationship, but it's just being, right? It's just sort of being used as a sexual vehicle. Those are my thoughts. But obviously, I mean, I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of the Break My Fall series because Kyle and Lee do have me interested. They do have me intrigued. So yeah, we're gonna see if these two can get their acts together. Hopefully. Kyle, Lee, I think you need to go on a coffee date. Just saying. So those are my thoughts on the Break My Fall book by Chloe Walsh. What are your thoughts? Do you have thoughts? If you do, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what your opinions are. And if there is a Chloe Walsh book that you're like, oh, this one is really good. Or if there's another romance novel or a romance writer that you're like, this is awesome. This person is awesome. So just let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear them. That is all I have for you today. So I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.